Welcome to SE Connect, a program from the campus here at Southeast Missouri State University. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio, and today we're talking with Southeast President Carlos Vargas, and on our agenda we'll talk about the university achieving its 70% vaccination rate, new statewide mission, and much more. Dr. Vargas, it's always good to get to talk to you.
Yes, we hadn't been talking for some time, so I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, we're back on. Okay, so we have several things. So let's start off with the statewide mission. I know that bill was signed by the governor in the summer. So what does it mean, the statewide mission for the university?
Well, it's a very interesting question. First of all, let me say that all the public universities, except for 3 of them, have had the statewide mission for quite some time. And so we felt we were one of those 3 that did not have a statewide mission. Okay. And so we thought this is something we need to do. So we really started the process in 2019. And because it's a long process where you actually have to submit a proposal and provide data that is the result of some specific requests that you need to show to indicate and to get the legislature to agree that you have a statewide mission, so you're not only recruiting students from a very small area in a particular region where you're located. And that's what happened. So we have a number of programs where we actually have achieved that level of recruitment and recognition and quality in our program. So it's a number of different things you need to satisfy. And so we were actually the first institution that received a statewide mission in 3 areas: visual and performing arts, cybersecurity, and in computer science. Now, visual and performing arts actually really encompasses 4 different areas, which is theater, dance, music, and art. So it's you know, and those programs really are resident in the River campus, right, for the most part. But so we need to justify. First of all, they need to be accredited. By the way, we're the only institution, public institution right now in Missouri that has the 4 programs accredited: theater, music, art, and dance. So,
and we've talked about on this program before the importance of accreditation, what it means for the quality of the program, especially for recruitment and other things.
Right. Basically, you get a group of people visiting you and evaluating you that are external to the institution. They're the ones that have to validate the claims that you make and the fact that you satisfy standards that are high quality standards to be able to be accredited as a program.
And cybersecurity, we're the only institution, I guess, in the state that's at the level of cybersecurity that we are, right?
We were the first ones to establish a degree, baccalaureate degree in cybersecurity in Missouri. And we've had a very successful program, and we have a group of students that have a club. It's the Cyber Defense Club, and there is a annual competition that takes place in Missouri. We've won that competition 9 years in a row, literally 9 years in a row. And then after that, then you go to the regional one, which is in the Midwest, roughly. And so we've been doing very well in those ones. I believe the last year we ended up with number 3. So we have a very active, very successful program in cybersecurity. And cybersecurity right now is an area that's really hot. As a matter of fact, just this morning I read about 2 community colleges that had ransomware attacks. One of them in Pennsylvania, they literally had to close the campus for a few days until they recover their systems. So it's really a challenge. And then computer science in general, we have very successful programs in computer science. And very at the master's level too. So cybersecurity and computer science, they have master's level programs.
So let me ask you this. So can other programs be added to the statewide mission, or is this all it will ever be, or can it change, or how does that work?
At this point, this is fairly established, fairly static, I guess I would say. I don't know that anybody has actually explored the idea of enhancing your statewide mission by adding other programs, but the fact that we are the first institution that has 3 different areas, it definitely opens the door for that possibility. But right now, of course, what we do is we concentrate on those programs. Not that doesn't mean that we are ignoring any of the other ones. We have very high quality programs, and that's why we accredited all the programs. But this is a recognition by the state of Missouri that we have, these areas of excellence in the institution, that when we recruit students, then we make them aware of the fact that these programs are particularly successful here at the institution.
One of the things that I thought was interesting about the statewide mission change was our Board of Regents became a Board of Governors. Was that part of that? Was part of that somehow?
Correct.
How does that work exactly?
Yes, essentially what happens is throughout the process that you go through to justify the endorsement, the Coordinating Board for Higher Education is the one that receives the application, the proposal from us. They evaluate it, and then they vote on it. So we received a positive vote when they voted to recommend that we receive a statewide mission. Then it goes to the legislature. And when the legislature deals with it, and it actually is the result of a bill that is sponsored by legislators and voted on. And so we went through that process. That's why it took over a year and a half or so to get it done. Then, as part of that, our Board of Regents became a Board of Governors. And because of the statewide mission, now our board is composed of individuals that may not necessarily be from our service region. They may be from outside of our service region. So they could be from any place within the state of Missouri. The governor is the one that makes that that appointment. So now we've had in the past 6 members of the voting members of the Board of Regents. Now we're going to have 7. And our board is now called the Board of Governors. So our regents now are governors.
So the governor of the state appoints members to the board. So he could now appoint somebody from Kansas City. So it can be outside of Southeast Missouri now.
Correct.
I didn't realize that.
Yes. Yeah. So.
Okay, well, this kind of leads into our next topic, which is the university's success in meeting employer needs. Cybersecurity comes to mind, some other things. So how do we look at the landscape and try to figure out, and I know you talk with the employers a lot to stay plugged in, but this is an important piece that the university takes part in here.
Right, and we are seen or known as a 4-year institution, so essentially we offer bachelor's degrees and we offer master's degrees. The ability for us to offer professional doctorates is now there, and so that's something we may be exploring in the near future. But normally we have only historically offered associate degrees. We have 2 associate degrees that actually we still offer, but we don't necessarily promote increasing the number of associate degrees. The point is we need to be responding to the needs of the community, the business and the industrial community. And so what we are doing is engaging in conversations with them to try to make sure that we put in place programs that are relevant to them, that produce the graduates that are required by the various jobs out in the marketplace. And so we're doing that, and an example of that is we've talked about this program on the FLY program, the professional pilot, which has been very successful. We also have a recent program on drones, as we've talked about here, and we continue to explore. So we now, for example, are developing certificates that are industry recognized. They're called industry recognized certificates. Those are certificates where professional organizations, and you name it, it could be an electrical organization of electricians or welders or mechanics or you name it. They actually identify the curriculum that deserves a recognition by them as being industry recognized. Okay. And so it's an endorsement by professionals of the curriculum you have. So right now we are really in the process of developing industry recognized certificates. So these are not degrees. These are a group of courses that a student can take, and when you put all those courses together, that make up a body of knowledge that allows them to get recognized by industry, and so it enhances your ability to be hired. So those are the kinds of things that we're doing. Now, in our plan, we have the plan is to offer those certificates as they move through the bachelor's degree. So by the time they finish their bachelor's degree, they also have these certificates that are recognized by industry.
Okay.
And that really adds value to the degree that the students have. So that's what we're doing right now. And of course, we continue to work on developing programs at the graduate level and so on.
We've talked before about just how higher education has changed and evolved and has had to meet the needs of industry and employers, and that's exactly what's going on here, right? And I guess it's not just here. Institutions all across the country are doing the same thing.
Across the country, everybody is looking at more and more about the degrees and the areas that you need to offer to make sure that your graduates are competitive in the marketplace. And like you know, the technology keeps evolving, new developments take place, and so our students need to be able to receive an education that is going to help them get jobs in new and upcoming emerging areas.
Yeah.
And so that's what we are trying to do, make sure that, and of course our curriculum is based on a liberal education, and liberal is sometimes a name that is not quite understood. Liberal comes from the word freeing. So it's an education that frees your mind to be able to be a critical thinker, a good communicator, a team player, and
a problem solver, right?
A problem solver, correct.
Well, you've talked about that. If you can hire someone who's going to help solve problems within your business,
then you're going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
You're going to move up.
Yeah.
Because that's what businesses want. Exactly. So we're really very focused on trying to address the employer needs. And so in order to do that, we continue to talk to industry and businesses and find out what the curricular needs are, what type of profile they have in mind that we need to produce in our graduates for them to be successful in their companies.
When you have these conversations with some of these leaders, is it sometimes challenging when they say, we need X, Y, and Z, and in your mind you're thinking, okay, we could develop this, it will take a year and a half or 2 years. I mean, because you know there are certain processes you have to go through and get approval. It just takes a while, but I guess you have to look at the end result, right?
Yes, but we need to see, you just put your finger on a very important topic, which is how quickly, how agile are we, how nimble are we to be able to develop programs that are needed by industry. I mean, a year and a half to put together a degree is a long time. In some private institutions oftentimes do that in 6 months.
Wow.
And so that's the part that we are struggling with right now. How do we expedite the process to put in place a degree that is actually needed
like right now
out there by industry and business?
Yeah. Okay, well, let's take a short break. When we come back, I want to talk about how the university used some of the pandemic funds and some other topics. So we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Vargas in just a moment. You're watching SE Connect, and we'll be right back.
The Department of Computer Science and Cybersecurity has just received a designation, a statewide designation, as one of the signature programs in the state. It was chosen because of many of the other recognitions the Southeast has gotten. We are the first actual program in the Bachelor's of Science in Cybersecurity, the first ABIT accreditation in the state, the Homeland Security designation. So it does recognize that we are producing quality students. It's growing, and it's going to continue to grow because we read basically every day that someone was just hacked, and we need to be ahead of that curve. We are ahead of that curve. We have not only some of the best technology, as you can see from the cyber range, but we also have faculty who are very dedicated to students and are engaging in research and state-of-the-art work to keep our students informed.
When times get dark, We can't see the help that's all around us. Let 211 be your guiding light for help with food, healthcare, and other resources.
211, how can I help you?
Call 211 or visit 211.org. 211, get connected, get help.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff. Like making sure your kids are in the right seats for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
Actor. It's time we take a step forward, come together,
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Welcome back to SE Connect. We're spending our time today with Southeast President Carlos Vargas, and now we'd like to talk about the money the university received from federal, state, and local stimulus bills for pandemic-related expenses. What are some of the things that, it was $48.3 million, I believe.
Right. Between fiscal year 20 and mostly 21, we ended up receiving over $48 million, which is really a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And that money was used, well, it came in different programs, so there's about 10 or 12 different programs, and everyone, it was a little bit of a challenge to keep it straight because every program had certain allowable uses of the money. So you could use the money for certain things, but not for others. Mm-hmm. And so every program, in some cases, was different. And keeping track of that and making sure that the accounting is done right is a little bit of a challenge. But the point is we did end up receiving $48 million or so. And so, I mean, the beauty of that is that a large amount of money was used actually to support students, in particular the students that suffered through the COVID, the pandemic. And I think we did over $17 million that went straight to the students for the fact that they had, and many of them had lost their jobs. They in some cases, their housing and their income was gone. So, and then we also we could use some of that money also to recover lost revenue. For example, here at Southeast, the Show Me Center, for example, the River Campus, the athletics program, that have events that produce revenue, so that revenue disappears. So we were able to recover some of that through some of these funds. We also were able to acquire some technology to be able to deal with this learning environment remotely. We're all familiar with the word Zoom these days, right? So doing video conferencing and using that to teach. And so we quickly, and when I say we, I really mean the faculty really did a great job. They quickly moved to a remote learning environment from a face-to-face interaction to remote, using this technology. So we had to acquire licenses for the technology. We had to equip the classrooms with the technology that was needed. We had to change the way that we coordinated with the students. I mean, it was quite a challenge to do this, and if you recall, we ended up doing this in a couple of weeks or so.
It was fast.
But then we continued to spend money to make sure that our infrastructure was able to be there to deliver this kind of course, the educational experience, allowing the students to be doing that from home or from other locations, so they wouldn't have to come in contact with each other. So we put about almost $3 million in academic affairs, and we actually were able to, we have been able to acquire equipment, for example, musical instruments, a saxophone or a trumpet or so, because of the fact that you need to, different students have to be using the same instrument. So we had to acquire additional instruments to avoid the fact that one instrument was used by multiple students. So that has been, perhaps it's a little bit of a silver lining. We have been able to acquire equipment that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do, that would have come slower. Yeah. So we're doing that and so on. I mean, there's so many areas in academic affairs that where we have been able to acquire instrumentation that is required for the students to do their work. And so that's been very good. Now we're still at the point where we almost have $9 million still available for appropriate uses. You know how people joke about the fact that it's difficult to spend a lot of money very quickly. Well, that's a reality. When sometimes you have the money and then you want to spend it quickly, because some of this money has to be spent by a certain date. Right. And so we don't have all the time in the world to spend the money.
No, but there's also requirements and things that you can and can't spend it on, so you have to find it where it lines up, that you meet the deadline, but you spend it on appropriate, from a correct fund. Exactly.
So keeping all that straight has been a challenge, but I mean, we have to be, I'm very thankful to the state of Missouri and also the federal government for some of the funding that has come our way to help our students. And we have received even money to be able to go and recruit the students that were enrolled at the university that dropped out because of the COVID. So we're able to go back and trace them and see if we can connect with them and then encourage them to come back. And in some cases, we have been able to erase their debt and say, you can come back, you owe $2,000 or so, that's gone, don't worry about that now, so you can come back and then you can start paying from now on. So it's a great way of helping students.
A good thing. And I guess some of that money, did that help with the vaccine incentive program? I know that was, we can talk about that briefly, but the goal was to hit 70% vaccination rate, and right before the deadline, the campus did it, right?
Yeah, well, that was one of our creations. We thought we wanted to reward or incentivize you. You can apply the word that you would like more, but we wanted to see if we could promote vaccination on campus. And there are many reasons why people would not be vaccinated, many reasons. So I won't go into that now. But the point is, we thought if we can get to 70%, that would be a good thing for the university and for the community. And so I talked to some students from student government, and at one point I actually said, okay, I'll tell you what, because we had a Thanksgiving break, which is 3 days of that week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, that they have off. I said, if we reach the 70%, then we'll give you Monday and Tuesday off too, not only to the students and the faculty, of course, there's no classes, but also to the rest of the staff. So we said, we'll close the university for that whole week, those 5 days, if we reach the 70%. And guess what? We did it.
It was exciting.
People rallied behind this idea, and we were able to do it. So I was very pleased with that. I think it really brought the campus together in many ways, and that was a nice feeling. So,
before we run out of time, I'd like to just briefly talk about Houck Stadium. As we all know, some work needs to be done on Houck. Speak, if you would, just to the importance of Houck Stadium to the institution and just to the region.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, and I think Brady Barkey probably will be talking in more depth and all that, but briefly I'll say, Houck Stadium is 91 years old. So it's a very old stadium, and so even concrete after 90 years starts crumbling. And that's what's happened with it. So we commissioned an engineering study, and we realized that we could not just use anymore the south side of the stadium. And it came very quickly. The engineers that looked at that were surprised how quickly the deterioration took place. So it was not really the lack of planning. We were planning alone. We had an engineering study done in 2019. And we decided to do an update in 2020, and we've been early 2021, and we found, oh my gosh, this is really not good. So now we're in the process of, we have designed a new stadium, and we're in the process of breaking it into phases to be able to rebuild it. And the foundation came to our help, and between the foundation and the university, we identified $12 million, which are going to be used to demolish the south side of the stadium and to rebuild the south side of the stadium. Not with temporary seats, but actually with the permanent ones of the new stadium. So we're in the process of doing that. Now, I refer to it as the stadium, but in reality, our plan is to develop a multi-use facility that is going to have also some resources there for to support some academic programs. So we're looking at ways in which we can use this new facility to really impact academics also. And then, of course, some of the activities that can take place that are related to athletics. That's going to benefit the city of Cape, the city of Jackson, in this area, because it's a nice place where people are going to be able to go to. It's going to attract people to the community. It's going to promote the business community, the hotels, the use of restaurants and all that. And as I said, we're looking also at partnering with some organizations that may have some of their functions performed as part of the facility. So it really is going to be a multi-use facility that we're considering. It's not just going to be a stadium for playing football and soccer, but it's going to have other features there that are going to be very, very attractive for the economy of the region. I just think about, you think about the rich history of Houck. I mean, one of the things that comes to my mind, we got just a minute here, but is the eclipse event that was held there. I mean, other things have happened there that it's just a gathering place. And there's another eclipse coming up. We'll do another one in 2024. Yes. Do it again. Dr. Vargas, it's good to talk with you. Thanks for being here today. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure being here. Thank you. SC Connect is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media here at Southeast Missouri State University. Dr. Jim Dufek is our executive producer. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next time for SC Connect.